Hello everyone! For this year's Halloween, Alex from Fatboss TV and we got together to bring you something special. We have 2 scary stories to tell you, which hopefully a lot of you are going to enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to close the curtains, dim the lights, and let's get spooked. I held off on getting a cell phone for as long as possible. I didn't really have a good reason, I guess, other than the cost. When I was just setting out on my own, there was no way I could afford the monthly plan. I was the only one of my friends to still rely on a landline, and it drove everyone nuts. I managed to wait until my 25th birthday, when I finally felt financially secure enough to justify buying one for myself. My friends all laughed about my change of heart, but I could tell that they were relieved. To be honest, I was pretty pleased too. As it turns out, cell phones are ridiculously convenient. Who knew? I didn't start getting the texts until about a month after I bought my phone. It was the first message from an unknown number that I received, and it read simply, "I miss you." I was confused at first. What kind of introductory text was that? It seemed a little overdramatic to me, and that was when I made the connection. About a year before, I dumped a deadbeat ex-boyfriend out of my life. Looking back, I can definitely say that he was really something of an overgrown child. He expected me to cook, clean, set up his doctor's appointments, and give him half of my income each month, as he didn't find it necessary to get a job. I shouldn't have stayed with him so long. Damn those devilish good looks. But once I came to my senses, I kicked him to the curb, as all his other girlfriends/victims had done before. My guess was that he'd stalked my Facebook or prodded my friends for my new number. After all, this wasn't the first time he tried to reach out to me, and I figured it wouldn't be the last. In the end, I chose not to answer. For one, I knew he would just try to manipulate me again if I gave him the chance. For two, it would give me pretty satisfaction to let him feel ignored and unheard. Now, as a rule, I try not to be petty, but sometimes such a perfect opportunity is just too seductive. The next few months seemed to corroborate my inference. His attacks weren't constant, but were always vague pleas that seemed to indicate that they needed a new host to leech off and couldn't find one. It was unsurprising that he tried to reach out to me first, as I'd always been the most loyal and long-lasting of all his girlfriends, and the most naive. I was the perfect target. The messages were always in the same vein, and quickly became tiresome. "I miss you. I wish I could see you. I thought I saw you in a crowd today, but it turned out to just be a dream." Ugh, pathetic. One night, about 8 months since I'd had my phone, I slipped up. I have to admit, I'd been drinking. It had started as one beer to help me unwind after work, and it quickly snowballed into a one-woman party. I was thoroughly smashed when I received a much longer text than usual. "I miss you so much. I know you don't read these, but today of all days, I need you to know how much I love you. I'd do anything to see you one more time." Today of all days? I wondered. I tried to wade through the mushy haze of my brain. The first thought I had, I seized. Today must be our anniversary. Sure, why not? It would be the perfect opportunity for a little manipulation. He was a prick, but he was smart. And then I had an idea. He wants to play games? Okay. Let's play, but I'm going to change the rules. I swear my thoughts slurred. I began to type, and my autocorrect struggled to clarify through my drunkenness. "If you want to come see me, then why don't you do it?" And then, just for good measure, I let him know that I knew he'd been investigating me. "You know where to find me." I sent it, and with that, I changed fate. When I woke up the next morning, I had 13 missed calls. I tried to remember, through the throbbing of my skull, just what bullshit I'd done the night before. I groaned when my texting history answered my question. Well, at least I hadn't answered my phone, I thought. I silently prayed that he wouldn't message or call again, but I feared that I'd merely succeeded in egging him on. To my great relief, he stopped messaging me. For a week or so, my phone was blissfully free from its assaults. I was secretly satisfied, congratulating my drunken self on her ingenuity. The next week, I received a knock on my door. I opened it only to reveal a man of the badge, his solemn face and blue uniform standing stark in the morning sunlight. His partner stood behind him, his face hard as stone. I felt a strange coldness seeping into my veins as they stared at me. Good morning, officers. Is something wrong?" I asked. With very little introduction, they invited themselves inside. I let them in, not sure what they were looking for, but positive they wouldn't find it. I figured I made a mistake, and was even more surprised when they began firing questions. Do you know anyone by the name of Silence Madison? I was stumped, completely puzzled. I can't say that I do. Why? We found a series of texts to you on our phone. We found only one reply from you. The younger officer pulled out a printout of the text that I'd been receiving, along with my one drunken reply. Reality started to dawn on me as the older officer asked, Did you receive these messages? Yeah, I answered. I added quickly, but they were coming from an unknown number. I thought they were from my ex-boyfriend. And that's why you sent that reply? I was sweating nervously. Well, yeah, I thought it would make him stop. I couldn't stop running my mouth. I was a little drunk, so maybe it wasn't the best decision. The younger officer stepped outside as the older one sighed. There seems to have been a rather unfortunate accident. What do you mean? He took a deep breath and opened his mouth. Silence had had a very rough first year of college. Classes were hard, she didn't quite fit in, her life was a mess of stress and papers. And just when she thought it couldn't get any worse, her best friend since childhood, Raquel Wagner, died in a car wreck. The death was instant, but Silence's pain was not. She'd withdrawn into herself as the semester went on. Her family and friends mourned Raquel's loss, of course, but they continued their lives, as people do. Silence, on the other hand, could not bring herself to leave her friend in the past. She tried to deal with it, she really did. She looked for outlets, she tried to put on a happy face when she went to class, but she sank slowly into a darkness that felt inescapable. And when the darkness was truly thick, suffocating, insufferable, she texted Raquel's old number. A useless gesture, but sometimes it would bring her comfort. And on the anniversary of Raquel's death, when she was at her lowest, she finally got a response. If you want to come to see me, then why don't you do it? You know where to find me. She tried calling, but she didn't even reach voicemail because I'd never set it up. So she done the only logical thing in her mind that she could do. She'd reach for the box cutter she'd swiped from work, and she opened her veins to the possibility of infinity. I made a terrible mistake that night. A mistake that ended the life of someone desperately struggling just above the surface. Her father forgave me, but no matter how many times I apologized, her mother had nothing but hatred for me. I understood that. To her, I had been the final push to kill her daughter. The police told me over and over that Silence herself had ended her own life. I was not to blame, but inside me the seeds of guilt spread far across my heart, growing like weeds that I just couldn't uproot. It was a long, hard year. I managed to get back on my feet and continue on with my life, although Silence's death hung over me like a shadow. No matter what I did, I just couldn't forget her, no matter how far away the incident seemed. Yesterday was her anniversary. I tried my best to get through the day, pretending I'd never heard that name, I'd never heard that story. It was going well until about 10 that night, when I received a text. A text from a number I've been trying desperately to forget for the entirety of the last year. Thank you.
A young couple living in a large, isolated house were going out for the evening and had called in a teenaged babysitter to take care of their 3 children. When she got there, they told her they wouldn't be back until late and that the children were already asleep, so she shouldn't need to disturb them. The babysitter sat down and started watching the television, whilst waiting for a call from her boyfriend. After a while, the phone rings. She answers it, but hears nobody on the other end. Then whoever it was hangs up. Thinking that somebody must have got the wrong number, she puts down the phone and continues to watch the TV. After a few more minutes, the phone rings again. She answers, and this time there is a voice of a man on the line.
Have you checked the children?
At first she thought it could have been a prank call, or maybe the father calling from the restaurant and he got cut off, so she decides to brush it off and go back to watching the TV. Then the phone rings again.
Have you checked the children?
Mr. Robinson? But once again, the caller hangs up. She decides to contact the restaurant where the parents said they'll be. When she asks for Mr. Robinson, she is told that he and his wife had left the restaurant 1 hour earlier. So she calls the police and reports that somebody had been calling her and hanging up.
Has he threatened you?
No, he hasn't.
Well, there isn't much we can really do about it. I suggest you try reporting the prank caller to the phone company.
A few minutes go by, and she gets another call.
Why haven't you checked the children?
Who is this?
You should really check on the children.
She calls up the police again. I'm scared. I know he's out there watching me. He keeps calling.
Have you seen him?
No.
Well, there isn't much we can do about it.
The babysitter goes into a fit of panic and pleads with him to help her.
Now, it'll be okay. Look, with your permission, we can place a tap on the line. So if he calls again, we can try and trace the call back. Is that okay with you?
The babysitter agrees and hands over the number and the street address of the home.
Now, if he calls you, you need to try and keep him on the line for as long as you can, so we can trace the call. Can you do that for me?
She agrees and hangs up. She decides to turn down the lights to see if anyone is looking in from outside, and that's when the phone rings again.
Hello there. Why did you turn the lights down?
Can you see me?
Yes.
Look, you've scared me, okay? I'm shaking. Are you happy? Is this what you wanted?
No.
Then what do you want?
Your blood. All over me.
She slams the phone down, shaking with fear. The phone immediately rings again. Leave me alone! But it is the policeman calling back. His voice is urgent.
Are you there? We have traced the call. It is coming from another room inside of the house. Get out of there, now.
She runs to the front door, attempting to unlock it and rush outside, only to find that the chain at the top is still latched. In the time it takes her to unhook it, she notices there is a light streaming from the children's bedroom upstairs, and within the light is the profile of a man standing just inside, holding a large axe. She finally unlocks the door and speeds outside just as the police are pulling up. At this point, she is safe. But when they capture the intruder and drag him downstairs in handcuffs, she sees he is covered in blood. They soon discover that all 3 children have been murdered. She watched as the police cars drove away, her mind slipping into insanity. How could this have happened? Who was that man? What about their parents? The telephone rings, the silence in the house making it that much louder. With trembling hands, she picks up the phone.
Hello there. Now don't worry. We got someone to check on the children for you. And soon, we'll get someone to check on you.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's something different, it's not Warcraft story related, but we had so much fun working on this project, and we hope that you enjoyed it too. Let us know what you think about this special project in the comments down below, and if enough people liked it, we might come back again and do this in the future. Right, everyone, thank you all very much for watching. Have a great Halloween. Until next time, guys. See ya.